All right, so we wanted to welcome everybody to our high school question and answer webinar. Just a few things as you're coming in, just keep yourself on mute, send your questions in the chat, and we are recording the meeting. So this meeting is being done by all of your counselors. So hopefully you know who your counselor is. All right, one of the questions that we got before the webinar is, can you tell me more about balancing work and student loans in college to avoid borrowing too much money?
Yeah, I think I'll start this one off and then we can kind of just go down the line and see if anybody has any advice they want to add. Um, I think an important thing to do is to think about things beyond work and student loan or yeah, work and student loans as being the only two ways to pay for college. There's a lot of other things you can do. There's scholarships, there's grants, there's other options available. So my first suggestion would just be, you know, if you have to work, you have to work, but there's other options to look at first too before you go down that route, which work better for some students.
And once you know like which school you want to go to, there may be more specific things that they offer to go ahead and help you out with that as well.
Yes, and in reference to scholarships, I would say apply for as many as you possibly can and don't shy away from ones that are in the low amount because they can add up. So if you see one that's only $200, hey, do it. You know, anything that goes towards your goal will help. So do as many, scholarship opportunities that you can.
That's right,
Agreed.
because a lot of people
And
don't even want to take the time to fill them out because they take forever. So
Yeah,
definitely do that.
exactly. But they add up in the end. So
Yes, they do.
agreed. And another suggestion would be to only borrow what you need. So when you go in and you figure out how much your tuition is, but your financial aid offer is way over that, I would say decline what you don't need, accept what you do need, and don't think about those new clothes and sneakers that you can buy with all of that, all of that extra student loan money because it adds up later.
Anybody else have anything to add on that one?
Um, oh, I have one more thing to add. If you are thinking about working, you can look for jobs on campus as well, and that can be a good way to help offset costs. So there might be jobs like you can work at a front desk for a dorm or at the library or things like that. And some of those will be through grant programs, like they'll give them to students applying for financial aid, but some of them will just be jobs that are posted. So that can be a good way to do it because oftentimes a lot of those jobs obviously they're on campus so they're close to where you're going to be taking classes probably, and there's also some ways like some schools if you're living on campus you might be able to be like a resident advisor and they might pay for your room and board that way or something like that. So there's other ways you can save money that aren't necessarily working off campus. So just look on campus as well.
So definitely check that work study box on your FAFSA.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Okay, so the next question, can I switch dual enrollment with another college? I mean, absolutely. It's we are going to be doing a webinar on dual enrollment. I believe it's February the 14th. So we'll be able to answer a lot more specific questions at that time. But if you start out, like say with a local community college, and then you want to switch to maybe either a four-year college for dual credit, or you want to switch to one of the programs like Oral Roberts University, you absolutely can do that. You just need to make sure that you get with your counselor and make sure that the courses that you want to take will be, good substitutions. Yeah. Hey, can you share more about scholarships? I know Ms. Wade touched on this quite a bit. So did you want to add anything else or?
Basically, I would say utilize your Zello account because there are often times where there's information with scholarships that we would send there. Look into, and I tell a lot of my students, do your Google search. Just Google local scholarships in my area. You just never know what you can get a scholarship for, and that you may apply for more than what you think. It's not necessarily academic. It might be other criteria that you might meet that would qualify you for a scholarship. So just be wide and open and forward, especially when it's, going to your goal as far as paying for your tuition, if any, like I say, anything that helps.
And most local high schools
Mhm.
have a list of local scholarships, so you should be able to check in with their counseling office, and possibly get a list to help you find out about more scholarships than what you're aware of.
And check their website and everything, so
Yeah.
a lot of times they'll post it as well. And Miss Wade did mention about it being on Zello, so usually when I do get something, like I get like that a weekly scholarship deal that I post for all the seniors. So definitely be checking Zello.
I would add to go along with what Mrs. McCune was saying is that when I was in the brick and mortar school, we had scholarships for kids going to trade schools. And a lot of times they wouldn't get touched because kids just wouldn't think to ask about like a scholarship for going to a community college program or a trade school program. And so we'd have trade schools being like, please tell kids because we want to pay for them to do school and then we probably want to hire them. So even if you're not thinking about going to college, checking locally is really important because there might be a program that will like pay you to go to school or pay you to work for them while you do training or something like that. So it's not just colleges, like four-year colleges that are doing scholarships. So just be aware of that too.
And that makes me think of a little bit about the first question. A lot of employers will reimburse your money once you complete. I know Starbucks does that, and I think Chick-fil-A does. But a lot of employers will reimburse you for your college tuition once you complete it. I know that's a little backwards way to do it, but it's an option.
To get some back.
Yeah.
Next question, what is NCAA and how does it connect to my college path?
Okay, well, I'll take that one. Okay, so I'll start off by telling you what NCAA stands for. Basically, it's National Collegiate Athletic Association, and it's basically an organization designed for student athletes that plan to play sports at the college level. So there's a basic set of rules you have to abide by. Basically, you have to be enrolled in NCAA approved courses. And here at Enlightium, all of our core courses are NCAA approved. So you're okay with that. As long as you are enrolled and listed as an NCAA student, your counselor is going to make sure you're on the path and have the courses necessary for NCAA. Some of the main points that I would say keep in mind is just making sure you're on track and finishing your courses on time, because by the end of your junior year, you're going to need at least 10 NCAA approved classes. And then by the end of your senior year, you're going to need 16. So you want to keep that in mind just to make sure you're always checking your course plan and make sure your counselor is going to do it as well, but make sure you're also keeping up with that. I will tell all of my NCAA students to make sure that they have an account with NCAA, because there's no way to get past it. You have to have an account because you have to utilize that for us to upload transcripts and other information that NCAA actually needs for you to even move forward with becoming an NCAA student, athletic student in college. So if you do have any questions, my name is Mrs. Wade. I am the NCAA coordinator. You can always reach out to me directly. But basically, it's for student athletes geared towards playing sports after high school.
I wanted to add, if you are a student athlete and you don't know if you are considered an NCAA student in our system, you can take a look at your Ignitia account. It might say on there NCAA. If you don't see it on there, I would definitely connect with your counselor to get that updated. And like Mrs. Wade said, make sure that you get into that NCAA clearinghouse database. So that way, whenever we do need to update transcripts or upload them for you, you are easily searchable on there.
Very good. All right. Do you have any tips for planning courses efficiently and effectively?
I have a big first one because it's come up a lot. I've noticed recently, especially. Check your course planner because that is what I like to call like a living document. It doesn't it doesn't move to a new document every year. So the course planner that we send you at the start of the year is going to be your course planner probably till you graduate. So if you have any questions about your courses that are upcoming or anything like that, you can always go look. Now, granted, they're going to change probably based on like how well you do and what your plans are and, you know, things like that, what your goals are after graduation. But if you use that as your base, like you go look at that and go like, okay, this is kind of generally what I need, then it's much easier for you to then go like, oh, look, I only have 4 credits my first semester of senior year, or not 4 credits, 4 classes my first semester of senior year. Maybe I can like move an elective there or take another elective or use that time to do a work study or something like that. But I have students asking me a lot like what their upcoming courses are, and they're on there. So just make sure that you're going to go look at that. I would bookmark that link. We'll resend it to you, obviously, but it's helpful if you keep it too, so that you can just reference it anytime you want to.
We'll be doing our course selection webinar, I believe, in April. I think it's either March or April. So at that point, so be on the lookout for that, because then, you know, we'll talk more about the plans and how to read them if you have a hard time with understanding some of the things on there. All right, what are the requirements for completing a grade level, and can I start the next grade level early?
I can start this one off. So in high school, at least with Enlightium, you I get a lot of questions when students when the grade finishes or the end of the school year comes asking, did I pass the 9th grade? Did I pass the 10th grade? So with Enlightium, in many high schools, you don't necessarily pass or fail a grade in high school, because what determines what gets you graduated is the number of credits. As long as you're completing anywhere from 5 to 7 credits per school year, you should be on track to graduate in the traditional 4 years of high school. If you by any chance are credit deficient or maybe missed a couple classes one year, it might mean that you have to do an extra semester or an extra school year of high school. But we won't necessarily say, oh, you didn't pass the 9th grade, you didn't pass the 10th grade. You might just hear us say, you're credit deficient, you'll need an extra semester or you'll need an extra year. When it comes to starting the next grade early, again, there are certain classes that are grade specific, like English 1 is mainly just for 9th graders. English 3 is mainly just for 11th graders. But depending on your high school journey, everyone's is a little bit different. You might be doing a mix of different grade level classes, maybe in the 10th grade or in the 11th grade. So, rather than thinking about it the next grade level early, I would think maybe the next school year early. You can definitely do summer school and do an early start if you wanted to start the next school year early. There are 3 different options for that. You can do a June early start, a July early start, or an August early start. Depending on what early start option you go with, that kind of deciphers how many credits you will be able to complete over the summer, and what classes you get assigned as well.
Very thorough. Anybody else have anything to add? And of course, always check with your counselor, because every situation is, you know, individualized pretty much. So that way we can guide you through it.
Yeah, I would add too that if you're thinking about graduating early, make sure that that's something that you have said to a counselor so that they know and can plan for it. I think every year there's always a student who's like, oh, I want to graduate early, but they never told anybody. And so then it's hard to schedule you to do that. So just make sure that if that's your plan, that you're saying it as soon as possible.
Okay, so what are some time management skills that will help me in college and beyond?
I will take this one. And what I would want to say is it's going to be a lot of the same time management skills you've been using. And you'll just have to learn to tweak those depending on how college and the rest of your life pans out. Whether it be making more time for certain things. And I would suggest not being really careful about not taking on too much. We do that a lot, and then we end up getting in trouble because we can't manage it all. So set your goals of where you want to start and where you want to end, and make sure that that's something that you're actually able to do and not set yourself up for failure. You know, we all use different types of things to manage our time, whether it's a calendar or, reminders on our phone or whatever that may be. And it depends on what's worked best for you. And obviously, if you've made it to college, you have some pretty good time management skills already. And you'll just need to take those and adjust them for college, because you may have more on your plate than you may be working. There may be other things going on, so you'll just need to make those adjustments at that time.
And one quick
Anybody
tip that
else
I'll
again?
add for that, as far as when you're setting up your college classes, if you're not a morning person, try
Yeah.
of course, because that's one thing that, it's a lesson learned for a lot of freshmen, and they set up the course and they're like, oh, it's so early. So you might want to get your classes scheduled early, because I do know that, just from experience, that a lot of the later times are taken quickly, and you might not have a choice but to get an 8 a.m. class. So that's just one quick tip that I wanted to share. Just make sure when you're registering for your classes, you pick times that are applicable to your lifestyle and that you can be more successful in doing.
And I do find that the college schedule is probably much more flexible than anything you've come across than your standard education that you've experienced before. So that will help. Most classes are only 2 days a week or 3 days a week. And that can help you make your schedule so that it works best for you.
Does Enlightium offer anatomy as a replacement for physics?
I can answer that one. Both anatomy and physics are upper level sciences, and generally, overall, once you get to upper level sciences, like 11th or 12th grade, usually 12th grade, you do have some options you can select from that, if you're thinking like, I'd rather do anatomy over physics, generally that's something we can work with you on. There might be some situations where that's not possible because, maybe you don't have the right prereqs, or you're catching up on other sciences or something. It's very individualized, case to case. So I can't universally say that anatomy could be a replacement for physics. However, if you're at that stage with your course plan, it's a good thing just to ask, just to say, what are my science options this year? Or could I take this instead of this other one? Sometimes as counselors, we might have to say no, but we're really only ever saying no because you either can't because of prereqs, or because it doesn't fit in your schedule, or whatever else. So we'll give you a reason why you can't do it if we have to say no. But it doesn't hurt to ask.
And do you have any tips on internships and money saving techniques in college? I know we've kind of touched on this a little bit.
I know. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, I think, was it Ms. Whitaker had mentioned, don't take on, accept more money even though you can qualify for it. You just take what you need, because you may not be able to save all that. You might want to go ahead and spend it on other things. So
I will add too, a lot of people think that college is about going away. You can save a lot of money if you decide to stay home for a couple of years and just go to your local junior college and then transfer to a major university. That would lower costs a great deal for you.
I was going to say, a lot of colleges have some sort of like career type center, where they have a lot of resources on either trying to get jobs on campus, whether that be like a TA-ship to work with a professor, or work study to work in like the cafeteria, but also to get internships either on campus or with local businesses that partner with the colleges. So it might not be called the Career Center, but something along those lines. Definitely take a look at your college campus to see if they have something like that.
And they might have good information on internships too. This is especially true if you're in like a specific college program or attending like a community college. A lot of times, if you're in a program, you will have like a program specific counselor or somebody who is connecting with local organizations to be like, this place has job openings, or like this place has like an internship that they need filled. This might not be as true when you're in like an undecided program. So if you're getting like prereqs and things like that, you might not see it as much, but still go ask at the Career Center. But once you get into like a specific program, a lot of schools will have lists of things like, you know, this place is looking or whatever. And so just check in with your counselor there, check in with the Career Center, and see what they have available. And sometimes they'll even have emailing lists. I've seen that before, especially at community colleges, and those are super helpful too.
Awesome. All right, oops. And then how do I know which college is best for me?
Visit, 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 visit. I know so many kids that have gone to a college just because that's where their family has gone to college forever, and they think they have to, or they look at the website. Yeah. It is so important to visit that campus and know that that is a good fit for you. You know, we all know about energy, and you can walk on a campus and know if it feels good to you, or if there's some reason for whatever, you know, like, oh, I don't think this is going to work for me. This is really where I thought I wanted to go until I went and visited. And, you know, and sometimes it's that you visited somewhere else and you're like, oh, I thought I wanted to go here, but now that I visited this other place, that's where I really want to go. So I just encourage you, and I know sometimes it's a little expensive, but it's always really important to visit any college campus you plan on attending prior to going there.
I want
Also
to.
making
Oh, you go for it. I'll go after you.
I was going to say, making sure that they have the program that you're interested in. At first, you might not know what you want to do, but if you do know what you want to do, say it's going into like finance or like some sort of like fashion design thing. Those are very like niche things that not every college might have. So making sure that the program is actually available for you to attend and complete would be my recommendation as well. You don't want to go to a college and end up figuring out that they don't even have what you want to study.
And also, if you end up transferring somewhere, you want to make sure that the credits from your first college will indeed transfer to the other. Because I know plenty of people that just transferred and then they ended up finding out that they ended up losing a year because their credits didn't end up transferring over to their graduation plan. And that's a lot of money lost right there too.
Something that was important for me when I was choosing a college was campus size. So I didn't want to walk a big, huge campus. So I chose a smaller one. So that was something that was important. Also, the number of students in the classroom so that you will be able to get what you need out of the class. So a classroom of 30 or 40 students wasn't going to work for me personally. So that was a factor in choosing the college that I went to also.
Some colleges.
Oh, go
ahead. Hundreds. So yeah, that's a very good point, Ms. Whitaker.
On that note, something that I always think of when this question comes up is that when I went to school with a girl who wound up transferring one semester in because we were in a pretty like wet and dark place that once fall hits, it gets very dark and very stormy. And she just hated it. And so she moved to Arizona and did much better at the college there because it was always sunny and nice. And that's what she was looking for. So when all these counselors are saying like, visit the school, you know, check other things, take that kind of stuff into consideration too, because if you are going to move and live there, think about things like, am I okay if it's rainy and dark for 5 months out of the year that I won't be here or something like that? Because you might not think that's a big deal, but it could be a pretty big impact on your mood.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Okay. And then if you have any more questions, please feel free to reach out to your counselor. We'll be happy to answer those for you. And does anybody else have any closing thoughts or anything? All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us.